I would like to introduce our final speaker for this evening, Bonnie Porter, who's the coordinator for Violence Prevention Coordinating Council of Durham. Bonnie Porter will deliver a passionate talk declaring love shouldn't hurt. While sharing ideas on how to turn the tide on violence against women, Bonnie says that there's been enough talk and now it's time for action. Each one of us, men and women, teens and 20-somethings, can influence and impact our workplaces, our homes, our communities. Anyone can become a leader for change. When it comes to assisting women of diverse cultures and backgrounds in overcoming barriers related to abuse and violence, Bonnie is tireless. She's a passionate mentor, advocate for the prevention of violence against women and encouraging women's empowerment. Bonnie was instrumental in successfully advocating for services to meet the needs of women fleeing abuse by establishing Horizon House, a shelter for women and children in Durham West. Over the past 7 years, Bonnie has been challenging her efforts through the role of coordinator for the Violence Prevention Coordinating Council of Durham, DPCC, a community network of organizations, agencies, and individuals committed to the prevention of all forms of violence and abuse against women, children, and the elderly. She's a proponent of working together as a community to end violence and abuse against women and is committed to providing education and awareness that will spark change. Please welcome Bonnie.
Thank you. Being the last speaker is kind of like being the speaker after lunch at a conference. I'm just going to move that to the side. I really appreciated the comments and the words that have been shared and the experiences that have been shared with us tonight so far. It really spoke to me, the experiences, the information. It's so important to be a part of this. And Luke was being very, very modest in his efforts of what he's doing with Durham Men Takes Action. Recently, I was watching a TED Talk about a man named Tapiwa Chiwewe, and Tapiwa was, is a computer engineer. And one day, while he was driving to work, he looked over the skyline of Johannesburg, South Africa, and he stopped, and he thought, and he saw this thick layer of smog and pollution. There we go. He saw this heavy pollution and smog sitting over the city, and it hit him how much pollution was just bombarding their lives and over their city, and he decided that something must be done about it. But then right after that thought, he thought, yeah, somebody should do something about this. And then he realized and thought, oh wait, I'm a someone, but who am I to do anything about this issue, because I'm only a citizen of Johannesburg. I know very little about environmental science, air quality management, or atmospheric chemistry. But he did care about the quality of life for individuals and families in that city. He knew that as a computer engineer that there was no way for him to code a way out of the air pollution problem. So he had to become smart about how to solve it. He knew in order for him to be able to affect change, any change for this problem, and to try and make a difference, he had to learn all that he could about pollution. So his first step was to do some research and study the data. He learned more about the magnitude and the scale of the problem and its effects on life and death of people in his country. He realized that in order to have any real impact, he was going to have to work collaboratively with others. So he decided to get to know people working in the field, officials from Johannesburg and the local scientific community. And through this process, he developed a deeper understanding of the problem of pollution in Johannesburg. His plan to improve the situation went something like this. He started off with his thought and his question. Here's a problem, what can I do about it? Then he researched as much as he possibly could. He collaborated with the experts. He studied the problem to grasp its depth and significance. And then he determined how he could bring his skills together with the expertise of others in a meaningful way. After time and effort, they finally developed a solution to the problem, and I won't go into all of what that was because it was very technical and they lost me. But they didn't come up with the only solution, they came up with a solution that was very helpful. They developed tools and systems to help individuals and families make better decisions about their daily movements and about where to settle their families. The real takeaway for him was that sometimes when you're not an expert in a particular area, when you're an outsider and not a professional, you can see new ways to tackle a problem that those who work in that field or area may miss because they're in the thick of it. So you wonder why this slide is up in here and asking about, what do I know about pollution? The whole point is you don't have to be an expert to make a difference. You can just start from where you are. I loved that Chipeway, I'm sorry, wherever he is. I love that he saw a problem, that he, a citizen, an average person, took initiative. He wasn't an expert, yet he wasn't going to sit around waiting for someone else to fix it, to do something. He saw a problem, made a decision to do something about it. And he and his colleagues brought a fresh perspective to the problem. I like Tipiwa's, that's his name, experience to what's taking place. I liken his experience to what's taking place with regards to the Me Too movement and violence against women. It's as though we are overlooking a country, a town, a city, and we notice a problem, and then we think that someone else is going to take care of it. The Me Too movement has been powerful in giving women a voice to step forward, but it's not enough. It's time for tides of change, not just tides of change, but disruptive change. The phrase tides of change reflects the change that occurs when a rising ocean tide starts to recede or go out. We need a disruptive change, the kind of change that's not going to recede. We are not going anywhere but forward. We need people who are definitely going to take this somewhere with regards to the Me Too movement. The Violence Prevention Coordinating Council is comprised of 32 members, agencies, and organizations in Durham Region. They are committed to addressing the issues of violence against women in our communities. They are experts within the VAW sector. They meet monthly, we meet monthly, educating one another about the work being done to address the issues of violence against women. We also plan community events to build capacity, increase awareness, and be a catalyst for change regarding violence in Durham Region. I remember when I first went for my interview to become the coordinator for the VPCC. I didn't really want the job, but somebody had suggested to me, you know what, you should go to this interview. So I kind of, at first I applied, and I didn't hear anything back from them. So then, I guess that was in January. In May, they were posting the position again. And that's when someone said, you should go. And I did. I got called for an interview and went in, and they interviewed me, and I told myself, I'm really busy. I don't want this job. And after the interview was over, I left, and I thought to myself, if they offer me the job, I'm going to say no. So the next day, I had a call from Wendy Leader, who is the executive director, or co-executive director of Wise Wish and the YWCA in Oshawa. And she said, we'd love to offer you this job. And I went, that's wonderful. Inside my head, I was going, no, I don't have time for this. But anyhow, for the past 3 years, the VPCC has held conferences around the issues of violence against women, and Luke was speaking about one of them. We've brought in the world-renowned expert and advocate Jackson Katz. The White Ribbon Campaign was the one that Luke was speaking about, and specialists on human trafficking. And these people who come to those day-long conferences were the experts. They're the professionals who work in the VAW sector in some way, shape, or form. The conferences are great, just like Luke said. People would be excited about what they learned, and then they'd leave with good intentions to make changes, but they're so overwhelmed by the sheer volume, and this is no criticism of them, but they're so overwhelmed by that sheer volume of the work that has to be done that they go back to their daily work and then back into their routines and responsibilities. The issues of violence against women continues to intensify, and the interest from the broader community to be the solution continues to stagnate. And change on the local level doesn't seem to happen. So, last November, which is Women Abuse Awareness Month, the VPCC decided to take a different approach. We decided to create and develop a year-long community campaign, and we called it #LoveShouldn'tHurt. Now, this is similar to #MeToo, but on a local level. Our hope for the campaign has been that we will get more involvement from individuals, the political sector, from business, and from community at large throughout the Durham region, that we can reach people of all ages, stages, sectors, genders, cultures, to educate and bring awareness to the issues of VAW with the hopes that it will affect real change. Sometimes when people hear of a campaign like this, they are hesitant to get involved because they don't see how it impacts them and their world. They don't think they know enough about it, or they think, what can I myself do about it? Just like Tepiwe's initial thoughts. So they go on their way and they forget about the issues. Love Shouldn't Hurt is a campaign to raise awareness and action from more than the professionals, the experts and frontline workers who are involved every day. The issues of violence against women and girls affects all of us eventually. We believe that change can take place when everyone takes part. New slide. So, new slide. So these are some of the stats that we have here in Durham region. Violence against women and girls is an epidemic in Ontario, costing Canadians $7.4 billion. If you think that doesn't affect you, it affects you. $7.4 billion to deal with the aftermath of spousal violence alone. In Canada, a woman is murdered by her intimate partner every 6 days. 3 of them were from our own town of Ajax. In March, a mother and her 2 children, 2 teenage children, were murdered in March of this year in their own home. Next slide. Okay, what's the magic? Thank you. 41 women and girls and 8 men and boys were killed in Ontario between January and June of this year because of gender-based violence. In Durham region, the police respond to an average of 14 to 21 domestic calls a day. 25% of all calls for violent crime are domestic violence cases. And across the region, for last year, the 4 shelters housed 608 women and 320 children. They turned away 1,080 women because they were over capacity. Shelter crisis lines fielded 5,507 calls, and the numbers aren't any better for 2018. Ontario is a hub for human trafficking. Police all over the province are grappling with the sheer numbers of women who are being trafficked for sex. Every hotel along the 401 corridor is being used for trafficking, and this includes the hotels in Pickering, Ajax, Whitby, and Oshawa. Okay. Yes. Girls as young as 11 are being trafficked and sold for sex. Most victims of human trafficking from 2010 to 2016 were under the age of 25, and I'll let you read the rest of the statistics yourself. But they're astonishing. Next slide. So what? So what about all of this? What can you do as an average citizen like Tepiwa Chiwewe? What can be done to deal with violence against women and girls? The best way to prevent it, the best way is to prevent it from happening in the first place, providing education and awareness about the issues that surround violence against women. If we want to make a difference, we can follow his pattern to improving a situation: research, collaboration, studying the problem, and deciding how you can bring your skills and your expertise together with others. And then that piece that Luke talked about, taking action, because nothing's going to change if that doesn't happen. So our Love Shouldn't Hurt campaign has been going on for this last year. Thank you. Even our Prime Minister got involved, sort of. He took the T-shirt. If you go to the Violence Prevention Coordinating Council website, you'll be able to find dozens of resources on what you can do to help and take action with violence against women and the Love Shouldn't Hurt campaign. And if you could just roll through just a few of the slides. You can complete this pledge. I have pledge cards with me if you'd like, or you can get them from us at the VPCC. These are just some of the people who have taken the pledges. During the kickoff in last November, there was so many people who had taken the pledge and then posted their pledge card on Instagram, Twitter, and on Facebook. So it's been pretty exciting. Keep rolling. And look, who's on this picture? And these were another group of men that had taken the pledge. Keep rolling. And this was from Joanne's house, or Joanne's place in Ajax, the shelter for young men and young women. And even the Children's Aid Society, they got involved by using the rolling sign and posting the Love Shouldn't Hurt hashtag. Again, Durham Region Police Office, head office. And so these are some of the things you can do. You can champion Love Shouldn't Hurt in your workplace, in your community, in your home. You can access the new resources. We put them out the first Monday of every month, and you can also go to the website and get what's there already. And one more. So Love Shouldn't Hurt. I want you to imagine a world where there's no violence against women and children or girls. Go ahead, imagine it, because we do at the VPCC. There was a woman, this is just how I'm going to close, there was a woman who had started a shelter in Iowa, I believe. And when she was asked what made her so extraordinary, she said, "I wasn't extraordinary. I just crossed the line to become something bigger. We all have it in us to become something bigger." Thank you.